What's up, NFL fans? Welcome back to another episode of Four Down Territory. I'm your host, Luke Easterling, alongside my good buddy, Doug Farrar, once again. Doug, 4 new topics this week, another crazy week in the NFL. We're going to start in the NFC East. Ian Rappaport from NFL Network reporting that the Giants are preparing to move on from General Manager Dave Gettleman. The idea is to replace him with someone internal or someone with a background maybe in the Patriots front office, someone in line with that Joe Judge thought process. Has Joe Judge done enough as the head coach to warrant that kind of trust, that kind of power and influence in that role?
The Joe Judge thought process, Luke, what is that? When you're 10-17, does it matter? I don't think so. Historically, the Giants have preferred coaches who have the appearance of the autocratic, Parcells, Tom Coughlin, Dan Reeves, Ben McAdoo. Judge fits that suit with the we're going to make him run laps and all the tough talk.
Right.
The results on the field have been mediocre at best, and they fired Jason Garrett, so that, of course, fixes everything.
Feels a lot like toes on the line with Greg Schiano down here in Tampa back in the day. It didn't go well.
Yes, another Belichick acolyte. There you go. How does that always work out? Except never. Yeah. Anyway, fire Gettleman makes sense. He hasn't done the job. Giving an underqualified coach more of a connection, more of a control of the team because he has that Patriots connection. You ask people in Denver how it worked out with Josh McDaniels, and that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, this feels, coming from the draft background, like a weird offshoot of the scout the player, not the helmet theory, right? It's fine if the Giants want a particular style or personality in their head coach, but wouldn't you want to actually make sure that guy can actually get the job done at the same time? And if he can't, maybe try something else. So like you said, I mean, the results speak for themselves. You mentioned Parcells. Your record is what, you are what your record says you are, right? So, there's little evidence that Judge can be that guy, and giving him that kind of vote of confidence, that kind of power and influence seems risky at best to me.
And of those Belichick kids, as I like to call them, who outside of Brian Flores has been able to keep his head above water once he left Dad?
Yeah, right. And I love Flores, but even his record, I mean, if he's the best you got, that's not, at this point, a great endorsement, right?
But he is, and there we go.
So moving on to another draft-related, I guess I draw the draft connections here. The whole running backs don't matter theory, right? Running backs, you can get them in later rounds. You don't need to spend draft resources on them. But more and more, the NFL's better teams are either reliant at least on a balanced offense, right? Or seriously leaning on the run. And then you got guys like Cordarrelle Patterson in Atlanta, Deebo Samuel in San Francisco, where they're redefining the way the teams run the ball because of those hybrid roles and that versatility and athleticism they bring. Why has the NFL turned from what felt like a total passing league to a league that's more in need of that ground game?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, if the season stopped today, I might give Deebo Offensive Player of the Year. He's just been fantastic in so many different ways. There are two trends increasing in the NFL right now. Lighter boxes on defense, the Vic Fangio, Brandon Staley thing, and empty formations, which the Rams run a ton. They lost Robert Woods, then the Division III spread offense, which doesn't work against NFL defenses. Teams like the Colts, 49ers, Buccaneers, playoff Lenny, I know you like that. They're exploiting that light box trend for all it's worth, and how you do that. Run power, you run counter, you run wham, trap, boom. You do what the Colts did a couple weeks ago, where you just block the crap out of everyone, and Jonathan Taylor goes off for 17 touchdowns and 1,200 yards. I think that's correct.
Right.
That is the correct.
Something like that.
So as sure as that happens, you're going to see a switch back to kind of what the Ravens did against the Browns on Sunday night, right? Browns have no functional passing game right now. They have maybe the best running back healthy in the NFL right now with Derrick Henry out and Nick Chubb. Ravens go 8-9 in the box all pretty much through the whole game, daring Baker Mayfield to do something, and we saw that Baker couldn't do it. The empty trend means that if you have the ability to create a run game outside of a traditional backfield, that gives you a step up. That works with Patterson. That works with Deebo. You can also run them in the backfield, but it's one more way to disrupt a defense, to get that box count off, to make you think instead of reacting. And anytime an offense can do that to a defense, it's always good.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, the NFL's always been a pendulum league, right? You know this as well as anybody from the work you did for your book. Offensive philosophies swing in one direction, defensive counterparts swing to match, and the cycle repeats itself over and over, right? I think these latest trends are just another example of this, and it'll always come down to offensive coordinators trying to do whatever they can to get the ball in the hands of the most dynamic players they have, be as creative as possible to create space for those guys, And defense is just doing what they can schematically and personnel-wise to react to that.
Yeah, it's all about the box count, and thanks for the plug.
Now, last week, Doug, we picked teams that were under 500 that we thought had a chance to make a playoff run, and I think we jinxed them, right? I picked the Eagles. You picked the Panthers. They both run out of the building on Sunday in Week 12. Since both of those teams obviously didn't want to listen, right? Are we sticking to our answers, or are we jumping on new bandwagons this week?
I picked the Panthers, Luke, and I'm out. And it's not all Cam's fault. Yes, he played horribly. 5 of 21, 92 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Matt Rule benched him in favor of XFL legend P.J. Walker, who came in and got sacked, I think, 4 times. And after the game, Rule said he benched Newton for his own protection because the offensive line couldn't block anybody.
Yeah, we don't care if PJ gets hit. We don't care if PJ gets hit. It's fine.
Yeah, this is the offensive line you put together on purpose.
Yeah.
You went out and got these guys. I mean, this is what you wanted. And it's one of the worst offensive lineups I've ever seen. I live in Seattle, so that tells you something right there.
It does.
The defense, which was the envy of the league in the first month or so of the season, has started to show some attrition as well. So I think the Panthers have some things on the ball. But as Dennis Green would say, the late, great Dennis Green, God bless, I'm not ready to crown their whatevers. I will say that the 49ers, and I'm cheating because they're 6-5.
You are cheating.
They are officially spunky. As long as they can work around Jimmy Garoppolo's limitations, which are, of course, limitless. Cardinals are going to win that division. The Rams are in free fall. I know you're going to have more on that in a sec. The 49ers they've already just womped up on the Rams once. They can do it again. We know Kyle Shanahan's a great offensive coach. D'Amico Ryans is doing some nice things. They're a new first-year defensive coordinator. So I'm going to get on the 49ers bandwagon, and hopefully that doesn't curse them as well.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give up on the Eagles just yet. That wasn't much fun to watch on Sunday, but I still like that schedule the rest of the way, at least until Dallas to end the season. I think they bounce back from this. They've got playmakers on both sides of the ball. I still believe in that talent. I believe in Jalen Hurts as a quarterback of the present and the future, and I think they right that ship.
Hurts has improved a ton in the last month. Pro tip for Nick Sirianni: when Devontae Smith is begging for the ball, don't keep throwing it to Jalen Rager.
Give him the ball, please. I love it.
The Slim Reaper, you said? That's
Slim Reaper, nickname. The greatest nickname in that draft class. You got to if guy
he
if
should
a
get
guy
the ball more
Slim
for
Reaper,
the
you throw him the ball.
Come on,
plain and simple. Now to finish up, Doug, we picked teams that were under 500 that could move up the board last week. This week, who is a team? Maybe we'll reverse jinx it, right? Who's the team that's relevant now in terms of the postseason conversation, but could drop out of contention altogether over these next few weeks?
Yes, I'm going to doom them. This will validate my Super Bowl pick because I picked the Bills to go to and win the Super Bowl. You start with the fact that they lost Tre'Davious White on Thanksgiving Day against the Saints. One of the 3 best corners in the NFL. Levi Wallace is a good player. He's not a CB1, and that domino effect hits the entire secondary. They don't have a great run defense. They've got the Patriots twice. I believe they're traveling to your environs in Tampa.
They are.
For a face-off with playoff Lenny. Their own run game isn't that great. Their offensive line is subpar. It puts a lot of pressure on Josh Allen, which Josh Allen's a great young player. Very few quarterbacks can handle that kind of pressure. I'm not counting the Bills out. They're still a great team overall, but you're starting to see the leaks.
Yeah, honestly, I'm starting to worry about the Los Angeles Rams, right? I mean, they've dropped 3 in a row. Matthew Stafford is banged up, and he's playing like it. He looks like it to me. That offense, like you said earlier, just isn't the same without Robert Woods in so many ways. And you also wrote about this on Touchdown Wire recently. Opposing defenses are adjusting really well to that passing scheme overall. So obviously they shouldn't have trouble with the Jags this week, but they still have Arizona and Baltimore on the road. Like you said earlier, the 49ers are creeping up behind them in the West. They're only 1 game back. They've beaten them already. I would not be surprised if the Rams can't figure this out quickly if they end up out of the playoffs altogether.
Sean McVay needs to diversify his playbook. This is not the first time we've said this, by the way.
It's not.
So, yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Well, that does it for us this week. Thanks again for joining us on 4 Down Territory. For Doug Farrar, I'm Luke Easterling, and we'll see you again next week.